A lot of less one-on-one friction, less head-butting. In any team, if you have a self-developing team, it's one of the best things that you can have. Hi, I'm Augustine. I am a financial services director now for about 6 years. I met Fong 6 years ago when I started my agency management, and she's watched myself and my entire team grow, and the different individuals that came in through the doors and developed that as well. So she has really been guiding us and coming in as more of a person and a mentor to see how we are doing, shaping young individuals. When I started back then, I didn't really have much guidance from anywhere.
I remember Augustine, you came to me and says that you want to do a team building, you want your team to know themselves better. So what motivated you to take the initiative to seek outside help?
3 main reasons. Number one, I didn't really have much help back then. I was young. I was in the industry for only about a year and a half. So I was just figuring out how to conduct myself as a consultant and build portfolios and such. But I was bringing in a lot of people because I believed in the job and the purpose of it. Until your segment where you came in to help us understand where we should be before we meet people. And that helped me gain a lot of clarity and settle a lot of emotions on where I'm embarking on. Having emotional regulation is good. So DISC was what helped me instantly in a day. So if I could bring that to my guys, it's always good to seek for help.
I really love Augustine's team because their attitude to learn. I remember the first time when I did the team building for your team, no doubt that they were young, but they were very attentive. I think Augustine used tools to help him to learn his people. He also empowered his people to learn how to manage themselves, motivate themselves. DISC is simple enough for everybody to use. All of them are being equipped with the tool to help them in their sales skills to better communicate with their clients and with their teams.
When I started my journey, I was an ISC, as a sales consultant. When I was given the opportunity to move up, I was forced, and that was when I realized that I was going through a lot of emotional pain. Like, it was terrible. I didn't even know what was happening. I thought I was like, okay, I'll just start a team. How hard can that be? So having that stretch, the emotional thing I was talking about, and how going through the cost helped me understand that there's nothing about me to change. It is about where I am now and who I need to be to different individuals. And the DISC thing is simple enough to categorize how to approach conflicts. I think to gauge how successful a team is how you go through conflict, how you go through different views and perspectives. Somebody to take responsibility, or who makes the call, or who's given that charge. Doesn't mean that you are the boss, you make all decisions. And at different points in time, you must know that somebody is better at that, and you must empower them to do so. Now I'm a CDDC profile, CDS, under stress. What that actually means is that I'm very detailed and I analyze everything, and I tend to overanalyze everything, but at the same time conflicting because I want to do everything. Sometimes my team will look at me as tough to grasp on where I'm going. My mind runs faster than what I'm doing, and having myself understand that my profile runs at such a speed, I need to slow down sometimes to explain. It is a very touching thing to see them just follow me, whatever crazy things I do. But understanding my profile, I tend to look back sometimes when things get intense, the S profile goes up and I start looking at the guys with me. And once I see their face is a bit confused or tired, then I'll slow down to try to explain to them. Before this, I was just a bull. You point in any direction, I'll just run. Whatever sticks will stick, whatever doesn't stick won't stick. So it's about emotional and conflict resolution. It helped me understand myself and who I need to be.
So I remember, other than your DISC profile, Augustine has a very interesting profile. In the 4-dimension profile, Augustine's motivation and passion come from social humanity. He wants to help the team to be successful because he wants to help many people. That is very important, and people could see that. And being a CDS style, he's not necessarily a nice person. So he would tell you the problem, and he could see the problem very fast. But he's also a strategist, an analyzer, and a theorist. But after all these things is because he wants to help as many people to be successful. Recently, I just learned from Adam Grant that the best way to succeed is to help people to succeed.
Like what you said, my profile is finding problem solving and pushing very hard. So I often get misunderstood by the team by driving this for productivity and numbers or money or personal success. But that doesn't intrigue me one bit. So the second tier of the course, which I brought my leaders and future plans to do, in a common setting, I guess, even if I said it, right, I'm doing this because I love you and I want you to do well. Coming from me with that bias of me pushing numbers was already clouded. So having a very open session where it's being monitored or it's being guided in a way that everybody can be vulnerable without judgment, that was the turning point of where we became good to where we started blazing.
Like I mentioned just now, that Augustine's passion is social humanitarian. So the best way is not for him to be high performing, but his team to be high performing. I guess when he first came to me to approach to do the team building for his team, he paid for everything. And my fees is not necessarily cheap, but he tell me fees is not a problem, but I want my guys to learn and I want them to be successful. So the best time to do it is when you want your team to be successful. And it was very heartening that his team, if I don't remember wrongly, that year only has 2% who are MDRT. But that very year, I think 10 of them become MDRT. I wouldn't say that it's my efforts, it's definitely his efforts. What actually makes this few 100% growth is because they learned about themselves, they want to be successful. And they went to him and asked Augustine, how can I be MDRT this year? He's kind enough to want his team to be high-performing team, and he could see that, and he brought his team to be there.
It became a lot of less one-on-one friction, less head-butting. I think in any team, if you have a self-developing team, it's one of the best things that you can have. Having someone actually look at you and understand your intentions is a huge relief to letting you do what you need to do. At least in my process of my industry, where my productivity of my group feeds me in that sense, or feeds an income, that can often be misconstrued.
I've done team building for Augustine's for a few times. When the leadership team come together, they have another team building, and they were very vulnerable. It's not the predictive trust, but the vulnerability-based trust. And I still remember every time when we did the team building for Augustine's team, there were a lot of tears. Because of the trust, they could be very, very honest with each other, and they can let down their guards to share what they really think, and they challenge each other. They would disagree in that conversations, even with Augustine. The best team, they do fight, but after they fight, they can still have a beer together. That is the beautiful part. And that's very helpful after knowing each other's style and know that, okay, your tendency is to avoid it. My tendency is to confront the situations. No matter how uncomfortable you are, it's for the better of the team, and be vulnerable and have the courage to talk about it. Yes, they do have conflict and they embrace it. They know that this is necessary. It's part of the team.
If we don't have a good culture, pressures of being an individual in a team, high performing or not, is often misconstrued or misused or misplaced. So you enter an environment always being second guessed, regardless of personal success. And I think if you attain personal success long enough, it gets senseless, it gets boring, and you can see a lot of top producers, MDRT, COT, TOT, and they still leave the industry because they don't have somewhere that they belong to. So I think a sense of belonging is more important than